Hi guys, Jay Smith here, welcome to the AskGolfNut channel. Let's go see if Ping have actually changed their golf clubs at all in the last 8 or so years. I've tested the G400, the G410, the G425, the G430 and their new kid on the block, the G440. Tested them for looks, feel, performance, forgiveness, all those wonderful things to see if actually they've changed a single thing. On the screen you can see this is the feel and look side. We'll go with the looks first. Now of course these are basically game improvement irons. These are very wide soled, very decent sized thick top lines. We are talking decent blade lengths as well, a certain degree of offset, and they are designed absolutely for the higher handicap golfer in mind who does like looking at a little bit of real estate for confidence inspiring looks down by the golf ball. And of course, generally speaking, we know that necessarily looks doesn't always directly correlate to physical forgiveness. We'll have a look at that one in a little bit. You can see on the look side, they're all basically been given 2 out of 5. Reason being is because this is the subjectivity side of things. This is my opinion. This side of the video, completely ignore if you don't care about this kind of thing. We'll go straight to the forgiveness, but effectively, I've given these 2 out of 5 because basically I am a player's iron player, and so I like something smaller and shiny. Of course, these are very far from small and shiny. When it comes to feel though, with the exception of the G425, they all score 3. Now technically I should really all score them 2 and then 1 for G425, but I'm being as kind as I possibly can do. These are generally speaking not quiet golf clubs. Ping have never really shied away from making well performing, however quite loud golf clubs in the past. If you can remember the G425, especially their drivers, wow, that was, shall we say, quite loud. The irons aren't as bad, but they are still making a statement when you hit the golf ball. So that is the only one who scores slightly less than all the other 4. Let's go to the fun part now. Let's go to the measured, let's go to the objectivity side of things, not my opinion, not the subjectivity. And let's go have a look at how fast, how good and how well performing and how forgiving these golf clubs are. When it comes to why this is important, you have to understand that these are going to be used by many different golfers. A lot of low swing speed golfers, for example, and low swing speed golfers will need as much faster face as they possibly can. They're going to need as much launch as they possibly can do to try and get as much distance, as much peak height, as much descent angle control as they possibly can. And so if you look on the screen, you can see this is the face speed. Now all this information here is on my website, www.askgolfnut.com, where my website members can choose between all the different tiers about what they want access to when it comes to data. And of course we have 85, 90 or so irons that are on the list at the moment, so, and that list is growing. This is a measure of face speed. How fast, loft for loft adjusted, is one face more than the other one. On the left hand side there you can see the axis, the y-axis basically shows you the fastest face that we've recorded and the slowest face that we recorded. You can see that generally speaking the Ping irons, the G400, 410, 425 and 430 were all sitting around about average, nothing doing especially well or especially poorly, they were just effectively average. The G440 does show a completely different design in deciding how they're going to try and make an iron to compete with other manufacturers who do promote much faster face speeds. Of course, generally speaking, when you're looking at trying to get one thing out of a, say, let's go faster face, you can lose on others. It's like robbing Peter to pay Paul, but we'll have a look at that one in a sec. So you can see the face speed on the new 440 is considerably quicker than that of the other 4. You can see just how well it does compared to all of the other irons, considering obviously we are only 1.56 is the top and this is 1.55. Very quick. If you go launch factor is loft for loft adjusted. How much does the golf club convert physical dynamic loft delivered to actual launch of the golf ball? But how they convert physical dynamic loft delivered into launch angle is extremely important, because you can see on the left hand side there we've got between 82 degrees basically all the way down to 67. That's 15% difference. And if you're looking from a every iron is 30 degrees point of view, if you've got a range of irons that produce 15% difference in launch, well that's a lot. That's 4.5 degrees. Well, that's more than what my difference is between my 6 and my 7 iron. So you can see different irons do things massively differently, which then obviously convert whatever dynamic loft you deliver into actual launch. And of course, when you're talking about slower swing speeds, launch is absolutely key. When you're talking about a slightly faster swing speed and launch necessarily is not an issue because you've got the speed to bully the ball through the air, then you can look at launch factor a different way. If you don't want the flight to the balloon up in the air, you can potentially look at a golf club on the list that is a slightly lower launch factor, slightly more penetrating flight. But you can see within reason the G400, G410, G425, G430 hovers all around about the 75, 76, 75% mark until we get to the G440. Not only the G440's face speed a little bit faster, shall we say, is got a better launch factor. It nearly converts 78% of its delivered loft into physical launch, which compared to the rest is pretty darn good. Of course, not as good as the near on 82 or so percent what we have as the highest launch factor recorded on the website, but then obviously much better than the poor old 67%, which is down there. Generally speaking, when you're looking at say super game improvement irons all the way to blades, or at least players cavity irons, you have a much better window, the potential to try and get that center of gravity, get that weight as low as you possibly can do on a super game improvement iron or a game improvement iron than you have over a blade. A blade is just literally that. It's a slab of metal. When you're talking about these kind of irons, you have the ability to potentially draw that center of gravity lower, which will give you that potential to get that golf ball gearing up there and launching off of the club face. The only issue is sometimes when you have that higher launch factor is the fact that you can suffer with spin. Now, the problem with spin as a metric is there is a big myth that golfers put so much emphasis on spin and how important spin is. Now, yes, okay, it is important from a point of view you want to have spin on the golf ball. There has to be enough spin on the golf ball to maintain lift, yes. But so many people are back in the old days of saying, look, we need 7,000 RPM on a 7-iron, etc. Well, that was great when the lofts were 35, 36, 37 degrees for a 7-iron. But when we're talking about lofts which are dramatically different and launch factors are now dramatically different, spin is there for a different reason. Spin is there more so for a consistency of flight and distance than it is for anything else. As long as you've got enough of it to keep the golf ball in the air, and remember, obviously, with these faster faced cranked irons, the ball speed is coming off faster, which means it doesn't have the need for the 7,000 RPM to try to keep the golf ball in the air. The lift is generated from the extra speed. So you can see the spin rates range from 110, which is our lowest spin rate iron that we've ever tested, all the way up to 136. And you can see, generally speaking, Ping run a slightly lower spin rate as a average, but it is only an average and it's very close, but nothing remarkable, nothing good, nothing bad. There is a slight difference on all of them, but they're all hanging between 121 to 125. The biggest difference there was the difference between G430 and G440, went 125 to 121, but again, that is because of center of gravity. Commonly, as a general rule, it is better to have a higher launch factor and lower spin rate than it is to have a lower launch and a higher spin rate. So for the medium swing speed golfer, we'll have a quick look at what the difference is between the G430 and G440, because you can see from all the graphics there, the big difference really was the design between the G430 and then the G440 for the change in how Ping want to design their heads to get the most as they possibly can do from as many people as possible. And if you can see, we've got the G430 in pale blue and the G440 in yellow. This is the gold tier. This is a self-fit tool. The self-fit tool is an amazing thing. We've got all of the irons on the database there, and effectively you can put your swing dynamics at the top there. At the moment you can see I've got the club speed at 80 miles an hour. I've got the angle attack at -2. I've got the shaft lean also at -2. And again, if you need any help when it comes to, if you're a gold member and you need assistance in how to work out what numbers you need to put in there to simulate your own delivery, your own swing, then you can get me on the contact details by the side of me. But you can see the difference between the G430 and G440. One iteration, but the G430 had its distinctly lower launch, higher spin against the G440's higher launch, lower spin, and you can see the wins that you get from the 440 over that of the 430. Both exactly the same loft, no difference in there whatsoever, delivering exactly the same loft, club speed exactly the same, no difference, but you can start seeing where the difference starts. 109 miles an hour to 111 miles an hour ball speed, so we've got a 2 mile an hour Again, exactly the same loft, no difference in loft whatsoever. Spin rate, there's a couple of hundred RPM difference, but not a huge amount. You look at the carry, goes to 154 to 159. We're losing 5 yards with the older G430. Got 3 yards difference in peak height, 28 to 31. It is an incredibly large amount of peak height to lose, even from an 80-mile-an-hour swing, and we've even got more descent angle as well, 44.8 to 45.7. We're gaining a degree. This is the exact same swing speed, exact same dynamics, just change the golf club, and it's the exact same loft. No difference whatsoever. It is just the characteristics of the head itself, which makes it very, very impressive. So let's go see how well it works from the forgiveness point of view, or at least the consistency side of things. We all saw how the G440 does well when you hit it out of the middle. You see how fast that face is, but commonly it's difficult to make a golf club really fast out of the middle, and also make it fast from the parts where you shouldn't hit, but we do, part of the golf club. So on the screen you can see this is the heel loss percentage as a measure from the G400, G410, G425, G430 and the G440, and this is loss percentage of your ball speed per millimeter as you move away from the middle. And so anything that's lower that way is worse. So the best one you can see there, only losing 0.23% per millimeter, is actually the G400, the old one from 2017. It's doing extremely well. The interesting thing though, the G425 didn't do very well at all from the heel location. It's losing nearly 0.4% from a per millimeter from a heel strike. So of course, if you're now starting, that's a 20 millimeter miss. Effectively, that is a 7.6% drop in your ball speed, which is quite a lot, because within reason, ball speed and distance is directly correlative, with the distance being a fraction more drop off than ball speed, but effectively within reason, 1-to-1 is a nice easy way to look at it. You're going to be losing a lot of distance from that heel strike on a 425. When you're looking at the G430, they did a better job bringing it slightly more in line with the previous generation, the G410, but still worse than that one, and then the G440. Now we're talking about the face speed, we're talking about launch factors and all this thing from a pure performance hitting out the middle point of view, and how well that G440 does, it's actually second worst from the heel. So don't hit these out the heel if you can, because they don't really like it. Let's go low on the face. Now again, anything lower down is worse off. And again, the G400 2017 is doing the best. It's retaining more ball speed when you hit it weird and wonderful spots off the heel, and now also low. And the G430 is the worst, and the second best now is actually the G440, which is good. And of course you can see the G425 not doing brilliant either from low strikes. G410 somewhere in the middle. Let's go toe, and finally the G410 is winning something on that, as we got 0.14% lost. Then next to that one is actually G430, shortly followed by the G425. So if you are a G425 user and you hit it out the toe, then you're absolutely fine. If you are a G425 user and you hit it low or heel on the face, absolutely there are going to be different options out there. They're going to work much, much better for you. Actually, the worst of all of them is actually the G440. So from an overall point of view, when you add them all together to see which one is more consistent, more forgiving than the other, you can see that the G425 comes in last place. You've got the G430 and G440 coming in second last as such, joint second last. And then the 410 comes in one but top place, and the top place goes to G400 2017, the oldest iron on the list. Again, when you look at the conclusion between these 5 irons, obviously they have changed the technology as time has gone on. There are clear advantages and disadvantages in certain areas. The big win for the G440, absolutely over all of the other ones, is when you hit it from the middle, it is on average a much, much better iron for the majority of golfers, because for the majority of golfers, face speed, launch factor is absolutely key to try and get that golf ball launching, trying to keep peak height up in the air, trying to get control, get as much distance as possible. When you do hit the green, we want that golf ball to stop. And from that point, the G440, I want to say wipes the floor with the rest, but it's doing a remarkably good job. When you look at forgiveness though, this is the interesting thing. The improvements that they've made with the G440, remarkable as they are, it's really difficult to make something work so well from an out of the middle point of view and then also make it work considerably well out of other parts of the face. And you have to go back all the way to G400 2017 to find the winner from a forgiveness point of view, which one of these 5 is the most forgiving. Hope you liked the video. If you did, go and give it a big old thumbs up. Hit that like button. YouTube likes, so do I. Down there is a subscribe button. It's free. It is brilliant for the channel if you could subscribe. So thank you. Next, that one is a bell icon. That's a notification bell. If you click that one, that'll let you know next time I upload another video. Hope you're well. We'll see you again soon.